Hello and welcome to this episode of the World's Best Coaches series, the series where we go around the world and we interview the best of the best in the coaching consulting space. Today, I am with Kevin McCurdy, an executive and business coach out of California, and he is also the author of The Limitless Leader. Kevin, I'm just going to give you a chance to introduce yourself, a bit about what you do in terms of, coaching.
Well, thank you, Sam. I appreciate the opportunity. Like you said, I live in California, and I'm an executive leadership business coach. I've been doing this exclusively since I retired from the executive world 2 years ago. And I work mostly one-on-one with business leaders, owners, executives, managers, people from all different angles in the business world, mostly. Some of our work, coaching always bleeds over into personal,
Yeah.
but we focus primarily and firstly on the work world. And people who want to work on their careers, on their future, on removing obstacles, things that they're running into at the time, whether it's a sort of a relationship problem or whether it's a performance problem. But just work with people and help them uncover, discover, reveal for themselves, the direction they want to take, the things that are going to be best for them, the way that they want to grow their own career, their own potential, their own skills. That's really what it's about, is helping them find their own way, which we all have inside. We're all unique and we all have different ways of doing things. And that's what a coach partner really, in my mind, does, is help someone see those and help them live them.
Amazing, amazing. Well, look, thank you so much for coming on. We're so super excited at the moment to be kind of speaking to so many coaches across the world and hearing about their different stories and expertise. So just to kick off, why did you get into coaching, and how was that journey moving from the corporate world into that space?
Well, that's the $1,000,000 question, and that's great that you started with that question, because that's really why I'm here with you, and really what my story, a short one, a simple one, is all about. I mean, I've been in business. I was in business 45 years, entrepreneur, business owner. I was in the hospitality segment and food distribution, um, and very successful. Loved every day, even the terrible days. Just loved the rush and the excitement of being in business. But what really changed things for me, and what really brought me really to where we are right here on together, is 12 years ago I hired a coach for myself, and I didn't know that much about it. I really just knew about coaches from reading mostly, business journals and reading about other successful business people.
Yeah.
And like I try to help with my clients, I knew inside that there was more that I wanted to do. I knew inside that there was more I could do. It wasn't that I lacked confidence. It was just having someone there to be a partner, to help, to support, to give me some other perspectives. So I pulled the trigger, and thankfully I did. Those are kind of special moments for everyone. You never really know which direction you're going to go or which choice you're going to make. But I pulled the trigger, and I still work with that coach today.
Wow.
And that's important too. But
Yeah.
the important part of the story is that 12 years ago, I hired the coach. And I still work with the same coach.
Amazing.
And we're close. We're closer now than we've ever been, but we're still a coach. And he's been with me through my executive career, and then through my retirement, and then going back.
Yeah.
He was the one who pointed this out. Going back to being an entrepreneur, going into coaching is different than being an executive. So I hired a coach.
Yeah.
I've worked with him. It was transformational.
Yeah.
It changed everything, changed my leadership, changed my growth pattern, helped my business performance even more than I'd been doing before. And it was a fantastic experience. And so I decided to go through the John Maxwell training. I'm a Maxwell leadership
Right.
team certified coach.
Cool.
And I decided to go through that, and then sort of start to practice when I retired. Keep myself fresh. I
Yeah.
like to learn. I like to grow, and I like to help others. So really, my my message now, or my theme now is really to give back.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I'm doing when I'm coaching, because of all the things I've gained from my coaching experience.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people that we meet, it's a passion. It's a passion and it's really important to have that behind you. Giving back and helping people, because you never
Right.
know, there may be someone in business that is just in a position right now that all they need is that somebody to just
Right.
guide them through the next step of where they are, whether at the start or the end or wherever.
Right.
They need a hand, and it's super important. In terms of the transition over into that, into your own business coaching, back into entrepreneurship in that sense, did you find it difficult to, well, I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
negative, but
No.
how did you find the transition of somebody then putting that onto you, for you to then support them in their journey?
Well, I mean, that part of it was I won't say easy, but it wasn't a big challenge. I mean, that's kind of how I've always been in my life
Yeah.
as an executive. I and now coaching helped me get much better at this. But as an executive, I've always been a strong leader and always wanted to help others and always enjoyed seeing others grow. So moving into being a coach was not that big of a challenge. I've been doing some coaching as an executive role, but when you're the COO, when you're the boss, it's not pure coaching. It's more like a lot of coaching conversations.
Yes, absolutely.
So doing that wasn't that hard. I mean, I enjoy it, and I get excited on every call. When I'm getting ready. What was tough, not tough, but what I had to go through was that change in my identity
Yeah.
from being a executive, or I don't mean to use it in such a all caps or anything, but being a business world, being a business leader, and then shifting to being a coach, that takes a different mindset.
Yes.
And that was an experience. And I'm not going to say it was hard or easy, but it was an experience I went through. My coach was there and really stepped up and helped me do that. And it took me a while. Your mindset and your identity and your beliefs change slowly, but they do change. And so that's what I went through. The idea that I have this new role, and that I get my identity, my meaning from being a coach,
Yeah.
and helping others and growing others. So that was a change that I enjoyed, but it took some work.
Yeah, but you have your why. You have the purpose.
Exactly.
Exactly, and I think that is super important. I mean, in the UK, we have certain kind of, I would say, misconceptions around coaching. A lot of people are not massively receptive to the idea of having a coach. There's still a lot of businesses out there that don't have a business coach.
Same over here.
Yeah, I find it still quite crazy. But have you come across any of that? And how did you have you managed to kind of convince
Yeah.
people, turn them around?
Well, the convincing just comes from um, having a relationship with them and developing the trust and being their partner.
Yeah,
That part people get. It's always risky for anyone to be looking at themselves through a different perspective, and it's always risky to be thinking about change. Moving out of your comfort zone. What's going to happen? What unexpected thing is going to occur?
mm.
Um, but you know, over here, it's the same way. Coaching's growing a lot.
Yeah,
And there's all kinds of factors for that. I mean, workplace factors, as well as things like COVID, and the fact that people, including business leaders, have kind of reassessed where they're at in all those kind of
exactly.
things. But yeah, there's still a stigma sometimes, especially when it's not at the highest levels. I coach a lot of managers and directors and um, you know, senior VPs and things like that. And especially when it's not at the higher level, there can be that idea that,
Yeah,
well, is it corrective, or is it, growth opportunity?
yeah,
But we get through that. But I think that that's still true over here. There's still a little bit of a stigma, and people don't know how to share with others that they have a coach, or that they're
exactly.
using a coach, right? Because people are gonna be, oh, you are, huh? Well, why?
Yeah.
And so that comes up.
No, it does, and I think one of the better terms that we like to talk about here is if you look at any sportsman in the world, what do they all have?
Yep.
They have a coach,
Yep.
and you wouldn't expect
And
anyone.
artists,
Exactly. Yeah.
and a lot of artists too, like musicians. And I mean, a lot of people use coaches, and we kind of know it, but we kind of don't pay attention. We kind of think, well, that's for them. But your example is perfect. It's all about just getting better. And that's why sports people use coaches, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and a big part of it is accountability, and it's I think it's
Yep.
the big A when it comes to coaching. It's, you know,
Yep.
it's so important to have somebody keeping you accountable, allowing you to set goals, but then thinking, is that goal big enough for you? And let me keep you accountable towards the steps that's going to reach that goal.
Yep. That's the first in my experience, you know, um, as a coach, not as an executive having coaching conversations, because then you have a different kind of accountability going
Yeah.
on there. But no, as a coach, that's the biggest challenge that I've run into for some other people, is them deciding what accountability means for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty patient. I get it. I've been through it because I'm a client, you know, so I do have the perspective of what it's like to be on the other end, you know, and most good coaches do, because most good coaches have a coach of their own.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's people deciding how accountable they want to be. I mean, a lot of people will get on board and say, I want to grow. And a lot of people will get on board and say, yeah, they want to be better, you know, at communicating. But then when it comes to them, they have to decide. And it takes a little bit of time. You know, it's a process of them deciding how accountable do they want to be. And then they got to communicate to me, how accountable do they
Exactly.
want me to hold them?
And are you willing to put the work in, you know? I get it.
Right.
You've got your business to here, but whatever you have done to get to here is probably not going to get you to here. So, you know, are you willing to put the work in? And if you're not, then this probably isn't going to work. But, you know, some people do it.
That's that's a famous idea. You probably that's Marshall Goldsmith.
It is.
You probably
We
heard of
worked with
him.
him. Yeah, yeah, we worked with
Oh,
him.
you have? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. What got you here won't get you there,
Yeah. He
and
amazing.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to work with Marshall a few years ago. We worked with his team to do content, various stuff like that for those guys. And we also watched him speak a few times. We took the whole team to go and see him, and everyone was blown away. Yeah, great.
Yeah, he's really good, and you know, smart, simple stuff. It's like, you know, it's just about the work. It's not about, you know, the magic or the ego and things
Yeah.
like that.
Exactly. So if I was I'm a business owner now, I decide that my next step for me is, okay, I want to give back. I want to become a business coach. What is the one thing, apart from me getting my own coach, which is, I think we've made that obvious now, that is everyone needs to be regardless. But what piece
I'm
of advice would
available.
you give me?
Um, what advice, if you want to become a coach? Well, one piece of advice I would suggest is to volunteer coach. Do some volunteer coaching. You know, do it with local. There's all kinds of opportunities. People that are out of a job, people that or young people
Yeah.
starting their career,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
out of college, in college. But volunteering is number one. You and I know it's a way to give back. But number two, you get some really good relationships going. I mean, you can get a real open dialogue going, you know, when there's that volunteer element going on there, you know.
No, I agree. My dad is a business coach. I think he became a coach from his ex-corporate career in about 2013, and very quickly he started to do that. You know, some free work to volunteer work, obviously to get his experience up. But yeah, it's good to give back in that way. And he always has a volunteer client, always like he's always
Right.
some sort of free work in that sense. Yeah.
That's what I try to do too. I do the same thing. Usually it's just somebody I don't know that I meet through a network or
Yeah.
something. I do it's not the same, but I do free coaching calls for people, you know, that I meet online when I'm doing my networking. But having a 3 month or a 6 month sort of volunteer relationship is really good because it gets you into the groove.
Yeah.
If you're starting a coaching business, it gets you into that groove. And coaching's two-way. I mean, that's what I learned from my coach. I mean, he came to our sessions to learn. It was incredible. You know, at first I didn't really realize it, to learn as much as I was
Right.
coming to those sessions
Yeah.
to learn. And so when you're doing that, well, your dad knows when you're doing that free coaching, I mean, you're giving back, but you're learning. You're learning
Yeah, I think you have to be open to learning constantly. If you're not, then
constantly.
you're not growing. So
Constantly. I mean, because you're two human beings and you're exploring things, and there's a lot of things to learn.
awesome. Well, if you were to look back at your entire career, I'm talking, let's say you just come out of high school, you haven't made the decision to go to college yet. Right now in this world, there are amazing opportunities for people to either go down the college route or the non-college route. I myself decided to go and start a business at 18 instead of going to college, because at the time I had people that were guiding me through that process. Now, if you were to go back and give yourself some advice coming out, what would that be? Would you change anything? What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Well, I would probably go to college, but that's because of the experience I had there. I mean, I was active in the trade union on campus. I was involved in leading a lot of things. So that experience would draw me back, but it didn't take me, to where I am. I mean, I fell into business by accident. I was not in business. I was going to go to law school, and
Oh,
I fell into business by accident with a buddy, and it just kind of grew into a restaurant service business, and then from then, I mean, I got this. I mean, I'd always been a leader oriented person, but I got this business bug. So, uh, you know, I don't. It depends on the individual. There's no reason to go to college, just to go. It's not a ticket to anything automatic. But I would do whatever you can do that'll keep you growing and learning. And that's why I was in college. I mean, the classes and all that stuff, I was okay sometimes, and
yeah,
sometimes I wasn't that engaged, but I was really engaged with the experience.
absolutely. And sorry, I didn't mean to emphasize the idea of not going to college or going to college.
No, I know you didn't. I know you didn't. But
Um,
but it's a good question, and that's why I put it that way because, like I said, there were some really useful things in college, and there were some things that just weren't.
Yeah, I think the advice that we've been given recently, and people, when I've asked people this kind of question, it's like, yeah, well, learning is the one thing. Make sure that you are in a position where you're learning, because you're just not going to grow in that if you're not doing that, basically. But it's also passion. It's finding passion, finding love for something.
Right,
They always say, what is it? If you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. That kind of stuff. And
right, right,
super
right.
important.
And I was passionate about a lot of stuff at college, and that's really what how I reacted and thought when you raised that question. But
Amazing.
yeah, you're right. It's passionate, and there's lots of ways to keep growing and keep learning, and college is just one of them.
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah, definitely is. Yeah. So I'm sure that you set business goals for people all the time, but I'm curious, what's the plan for you in your coaching career, for the next few years? Have you got anything big in your sights or?
Well, I'm sure I got some things. I mean, one of the reasons I retired was to develop a whole nother side of my life that I had not, I had been neglecting,
Yeah.
my partner and doing travel. But when it comes to the work part and my coaching, yeah, my plans are I'm going to write another book
Fantastic.
pretty soon about how to build a people first culture and expand my coaching business and just doing one-on-ones and get better. And sort of I'm working now to develop a network to where it generates clients. I mean, I'm pretty much to where I want to be right now, but things do turn over.
Yeah.
So just expand my coaching and write another book, and also put together some. I'm working on putting together some training guides, some lessons,
Yeah.
classroom type lessons, not things that I would have to do, but things that people can use. I don't want to get into the training business. I've done events. I did one. I have a big client who's a national trucking firm here
Yeah.
in the United States, and I've done events for them. But it's not my ticket. I really like the one-on-one. I
Yeah.
do some
Of
group
course.
coaching, but the one-on-one work,
Yeah.
and then just keep building from there.
Tell me a bit more about your book that you wrote initially. How
Mhm.
was that process? I'm curious.
Well, it was long and short. I mean, there would be times when I wasn't getting much done, and then times when I was. But once it got on a roll, it was not as difficult as I thought. I
Yeah.
had the idea. I had thought about and believed in this idea of limitless leadership back to when I was in my last role as a COO with the company, and I kind of wanted to make it something that I was able to share and able to uh, help others to embrace the idea of being a limitless leader. And,
Yeah.
not so much about the leader, but the idea of understanding limits and understanding that we can control our limits and that we all have limits. But that's what growth is about. It's about seeing limits, understanding limits, moving past limits. New ones are going to come up. So that's how the idea of the book came along. And I wrote it as sort of one of the angles I wrote it was to make it useful in terms of once you read it, once you get through it or enjoy as much of it as you want to make it useful for situations. Because if
Right.
you look at it, you can take chapters and they really can apply to situations you might find yourself in. You don't need to
Yeah.
use the whole book. And you can even take what some of my clients, we use the book and they can just even we take a chapter and we write a growth plan right from the chapter. So that was the idea that I had for putting that book together.
Yeah, definitely some of my favorite business books have been ones that I can physically apply to situations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's useful. I mean, I
Exactly.
love all books, and I
Really.
love that when you get into the point of thinking, about possibility and just kind of going beyond. But um, using the book is, it's like, well, I've got a challenge with my team, or I've got an individual and I really want to help them see their potential, in the workplace. The
Yeah.
book can be useful for that. And I kind of wanted to do it that way so that people could chunk it up if
Yeah.
they wanted to and
Yeah.
use it in that way. Because really, that's what life's, all about. If it gets too big, it's just too much. But when you chunk things up, decisions or vacations or whatever you're doing, break them up into small pieces.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So if you were to recommend a book that you've read that was like how do I say this? Like a key book for you that you've read over the past that had a big
Mm-hmm.
impact on you in your, your business coaching, what would it be?
Well, one of them was, but we're not going to say it because I'm not kidding you. It's what got you here won't get you there. I
Yes.
mean, when you said
Amazing
that,
book.
well, there you go. But
Yeah.
the another one that I've really enjoyed and I use with my clients, and I think is just a phenomenal book, is by John Maxwell. It's Everybody Communicates, Few Connect,
Okay.
and it's really a hands-on book that is so common sense, and it's really about the idea that in order to really enhance your communication and
Yeah.
make it stronger, make it clearer, make it more useful to others, you want to connect with people first. Now that doesn't mean hold your tongue or anything, but the point is that connecting with people and developing those kind of relationships makes your takes your communication, you know, bust your lid on your communication. It
Yeah.
makes you a limitless communicator when you start with connecting. So everybody communicates, few connect. It's John Maxwell. There's 5 practices and 5 principles.
Yeah.
It's a great read, and it works every time. Works every time.
Amazing. Well, I'll definitely have to check that out. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
It's worth it. It's a classic.
Awesome. Well, look, we'll end on a quick little rapid fire question for you. What is the key to success for you?
For me personally,
Yeah.
my key success has been my leadership. I've just loved being a leader, sharing, helping, connecting, and accomplishing things. I mean, I've been a very results driven person my whole life. I had to learn to understand that with my
Yeah.
coach, because you can leave a lot of people behind when you get too results oriented. But it's what's driven me. So
Wow.
I
Well,
just learned to do it better.
yeah, it's powerful. That's powerful. That's great. So where can people find you if they want to contact you, want to visit your website, look at your book even?
The you get the book on Amazon
Yeah.
anytime.
Amazing.
Um, the best place to follow me or to see what I'm doing or to share, or please share, is on my LinkedIn profile, Kevin McCurdy.
Great.
That's the best place. My email is Kevin McCurdy Growth. It's simple. KevinMcCurdyGrowth.com. One word, Kevin McCurdy Growth. So Kevin at KevinMcCurdyGrowth.com. Phone number. I'll put it down, and I don't know if you'll edit it out or leave it in, but anytime.
I'll stick it in. I'll stick it in. Yeah.
It's US 415-740-6321. But I spend a significant part of my time on LinkedIn putting some information. I have videos out there, so it's a good place.
Amazing. Well, look,
and you'll find my website from there as well.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope everyone goes and checks you out and orders your book as well.
Oh, me too. Thank you.
No, well, thank you so much for coming on, Kevin. It's been really insightful. I've enjoyed our conversation. Absolutely.
Me too. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm grateful for the honor.